Prince George screamed, crying after Camilla secretly took his dog on birthday morning. It was supposed to be a perfect day. Prince George had been counting down to his 12th birthday for weeks, already picturing himself running through the gardens of Sandringham with his best friend, Orla, the golden brown spaniel who'd been his shadow since he was little. She wasn't just a pet. She was his comfort when the palace halls got too cold, his audience when he practiced silly magic tricks, and the only one who knew all his secrets without ever saying a word. That morning, everything felt just right. The air was warm, the skies clear, and George had leapt out of bed earlier than usual, excited. He wore his favorite shirt, the one with the paw print across the chest, a gift from last year, and bolted down to the garden where his younger siblings, Charlotte and Louis, were already giggling near the balloons. The cake table had dog-themed decorations, a full spread of snacks Kate had personally planned, and little clues about a puppy-themed scavenger hunt. All signs pointed to a day George would remember for the rest of his life. But not like this. Camilla's arrival was quiet but sharp. She wasn't originally on the guest list, but King Charles had insisted. Kate and William didn't push back. It wasn't worth the argument, so Camilla showed up a little late, stepping out of her car in a crisp blue silk dress, eyes already scanning the lawn like she was looking for something to fix. And she found it, Orla. The moment her eyes landed on the bouncing, tongue-wagging spaniel chasing after Charlotte's stick, her jaw tensed. Camilla didn't say much, just whispered to her longtime aide, the same one who never questioned her tone. "Get that dog out of here," she said under her breath. Now, so just like that, Orla was led away, happily trotting at first, thinking it was another game, until she was loaded into a car and driven off to a farm outside North. No warning, no explanation, no one told George. The party continued. Games, laughter, snacks, and presents. George was still buzzing with excitement, waiting to show off the new tricks Orla had learned. He imagined her running into the center during the family photo, maybe with a tiny birthday hat perched between her floppy ears, but when the moment came and he called out her name, twice, then 3 times, the garden stayed silent. Orla, come here, girl," George called, scanning the hedges, the corners, the porch. "Come on, don't be lazy." But nothing. No bark, no paws thumping the grass, no Orla. At first, Charlotte and Louis joined in, thinking she was playing hide and seek, but soon even they grew quiet. George's voice cracked as panic started to set in. "She never misses the family photo. She never hides this long." One of the royal staff stood awkwardly near the fence, trying not to meet George's eyes, but the boy noticed. He marched over, chest tight, demanding answers. "Where's Orla? Where's my dog?" The man hesitated, then leaned in close. "She's been taken away, sir." That sentence hit harder than anything George had ever heard. Taken away? Where? By who? Why? He didn't yell. He didn't even cry. Not yet. He just stood there, frozen, watching his perfect birthday fall apart in slow motion. And when Kate found him under a tree, arms wrapped around his knees, refusing to talk to anyone, she knew. Something had happened. Something deeper than a missing dog. Something that fractured the magic of childhood in a way no royal title could ever fix. Inside the house, Kate paced furiously, her heels clicking against the polished wood like a ticking bomb. She had just gotten the full story from one of the aides, how Camilla had whispered an order, how Orla had been taken without so much as a word to George or his parents. Her hands shook, fists clenched so tightly her knuckles went white. But it wasn't just anger, it was the gut punch realization that her son's trust in the people around him had been shattered on his birthday. William was still out in the garden, trying to calm down the kids, but Kate wasn't about to let this slide. She stormed into the east wing, straight toward the tea room, where Camilla was sitting with 2 communications advisors, discussing some press strategy about upcoming royal engagements. Without knocking, Kate pushed open the door. "We need to talk, now." The aides froze, sensing something sharp in the air. Camilla raised an eyebrow, sipping her tea with an infuriating calmness. "Can't this wait until—" "No," Kate snapped. "You had my son's dog taken away at his own birthday party." Camilla set her cup down slowly. "I didn't want the chaos. Dogs running around children, barking in the middle of a royal event. It looks untidy. It doesn't reflect well." Kate laughed bitterly, stepping forward. "It wasn't a royal event. It was a child's birthday. My child. And that chaotic dog is his best friend." "I'm the queen consort," Camilla replied, sitting straighter. "I have a responsibility to uphold the image of this family." Kate's eyes narrowed. "You're not his mother. And you don't get to decide what my son can and can't love. You don't get to rewrite joy into protocol just because you're uncomfortable with it. For a moment, Camilla didn't speak. She glanced away as if already dismissing the conversation, but Kate wasn't done. From this moment on, you are no longer welcome at any private event involving our children. Birthdays, holidays, anything. You crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. Camilla's jaw tensed. William won't stand for this. Kate smiled, a cold, quiet kind of smile. He already knows, and he agrees. Upstairs, George was curled up by his window, staring at the empty garden. He hadn't moved much since the party ended. The sun was starting to dip behind the trees, casting long shadows over the lawn where Orla used to run. He didn't cry, not anymore, but he hadn't smiled either. He picked up the notebook his mother gave him last month. A small, leather-bound journal where he sometimes drew pictures of castles and football players, but this time he wrote, "If being a prince means people can just take away who I love, then I don't want it." He stared at those words for a while, underlining them twice. Downstairs, William finally returned from the garden, face flushed with quiet fury. Kate met him in the hall, still tense from the confrontation. "She admitted it," Kate said simply. Didn't even blink. William didn't need to ask who. He already knew. He pulled his wife into a hug, his mind racing. He had tried for years to hold the family together, keep peace with his father, endure Camilla's presence for tradition's sake. But now she had crossed into his children's world, and that changed everything. That evening, as the family sat down for dinner, one chair stayed empty, George's. No one touched the cake, not even Louis. Silence sat heavier than the chandelier above. Even Charles looked uneasy, casting glances at William, who stayed quiet, arms crossed, eyes unreadable. Everyone at that table knew something had cracked, and it wasn't just the birthday plans. It was the entire balance of power within the royal family. Michael Middleton sat quietly in his study, thumbing through a stack of old home videos on his phone. He wasn't a man who stirred drama, but seeing his grandson devastated after a party meant to celebrate him because someone else decided what was royal enough hit a nerve he didn't know he had. He clicked open a short clip from 2 years ago. George and Orla running through the meadow, laughter echoing as the dog leapt into his arms. Simple. Human, precious. He uploaded the video to his rarely used public page. No hashtags, no names. Just a quiet caption, "A boy doesn't need a crown, just the friend who loves him." The internet took care of the rest. Within hours, the clip had gone viral. George's laughter, the way he hugged Orla like the world disappeared, people connected to it instantly. Social media exploded with sympathy. Justice for Orla trended within a day. Artists began sketching illustrations of George and his dog. Journalists rehashed Camilla's long-known dislike for animals, and public outrage grew like wildfire. Protests popped up outside Buckingham Palace. Nothing massive, but the sign said everything. Let George be a kid. A dog is family, and the one that hit hardest. Even a prince deserves a best friend. Camilla, holed up at her residence, was blindsided. Her team scrambled with damage control memos and PR statements, but the damage wasn't just public, it was private. Her own image, already on fragile ground with segments of the public, was now cemented as the villain in a boy's story. Inside the palace, the silence became suffocating. Charles called for a family meeting. In the large sitting room, tension wrapped the air like plastic. Charles stood at the center, William to his left, Kate on his right. Camilla entered last, her expression unreadable. Charles didn't mince words. "This has gone too far. We are a family first, not a brand." William didn't wait for permission to speak. "Then maybe we should start acting like it." Camilla looked at William, eyes narrowing. "So now I'm the enemy for asking for decorum, for protecting the family's dignity?" "You didn't protect anything," Kate said coldly. "You humiliated a child. You took his joy and turned it into a PR nightmare." George stood just outside the room, peeking from behind the doorframe. He wasn't supposed to be there, but something drew him in. Hearing his parents defend him so fiercely sent a strange warmth through his chest. He clutched Orla's old collar in his hand. Charles finally sat down, face weary. "Camilla, this is your mess. You overstepped. You turned a boy's birthday into a battleground." She opened her mouth to argue, but stopped. No one was on her side, not even her husband. William turned toward his father. "From now on, she's not to attend anything involving our children. That's our final line. Charles closed his eyes for a moment, then gave a small, reluctant nod. Later that night, Kate returned to George's room. He was curled up on his bed, still holding the collar. She sat beside him, brushing his hair gently. "We're getting Orla back," she said softly, "and no one's taking her away again." George looked up, his eyes tired but grateful. "You promise?" She kissed his forehead. "With all my heart." That weekend, Orla returned, a bit confused, a little sleepy, but when she saw George, she bolted straight into his arms. The boy, who hadn't smiled in days, laughed again, loud and free. The press eventually moved on. The royals issued a bland statement, but inside the family, things had changed forever. George never forgot who fought for him, and Camilla never forgot who didn't.